You look naked, but go ahead.
I am naked. I'm giving the viewers what they want. Long story short, we overspent by a good chunk.
It's been quite a bit over a year, but we want to do a year in review video just to kind of recap our experiences, not just our best and worst moments, but about a little bit about expenses.
Yes, expenses, good things we've learned, bad things we've learned,
Moments.
scariest moments, all those kind of good things. But yeah, so we wanted to take the time to share that with you for what it's really like, because a lot of times we don't have the opportunity to capture those things.
We've had some really scary things happen. I don't know if it's unique to us. We've managed them all. It's not been a problem, but you really have to be able to handle things yourselves.
You do.
Fortunately, we have mechanic extraordinaire right here.
Oh, I have a good captain. So.
Well, thank you, baby.
You're welcome. I'm gonna get some later. We've had a lot of crazy stuff happen. We wanted to share kind of our top 7, I think is what we ended up coming up with. So let's take a look at those in this little montage.
The reason he had to add the tack line back in is because I needed to take the tension off the sail so he could put the soft shackle in at the right length as the backup soft shackle at the bottom of the manual furler. He's adding a second shackle to the bottom of the furler to give us extra security so we never have to deal with what we dealt with last night.
This morning, while it was still dark and Anne was on shift, she heard this like clink noise in the back of the cockpit area. Went over to go look and found this piece. Because it was dark, we couldn't really see where it came from. But then as soon as it got light, I figured it out, and it came from our topping lift. Topping lift line is still there, but it just backed itself out off that clasp, so I'm gonna go up and try and fix it. So Anne made a soft shackle, and I'll go use that to secure the topping lift to the back end of the boom until we can get either a replacement or have someone bend it into place for us.
We see land!
A land hoe?
Land ho!
Where is it?
Over there.
St. Helena.
That way.
Cheers.
All right.
St. Helena.
Prost! Land hoe!
Land ho.
Sláinte.
Our crew ditched us today. That was quite a shock. But, you know, they got to do what they do. Not only did our crew of 3 ditch us here in St. Helena, but they did not do all their laundry. So we had to do all their sheets and towels and clean up their side of the boat. And, you know, it's bad enough that you ditch us, but can you at least clean up after yourself?
Last night I had gone down to get some rest, but was woken up to the boat just bouncing all over the place. I could hear the code 0 and the sails just flapping. Came up to see what was going on, and Anne was having a hard time getting the boat to maintain its heading. Even under engine power, it was just struggling. So we got things under control with the sails, which was quite the adventure. But if you look, our steering cable is so loose because it jumped that piece, so I gotta fix that and put that back together.
And one of the biggest problems with the shit show last night was the fact that our code 0, when we were trying to furl it up, basically somehow the line got caught on the leech line and then wouldn't undo, so it's flapping but wasn't completely wrapped. So we had to take that down manually, and that is a crazy heavy sail to bring down manually. And of course we have none of that on video.
last night we had the steering issue where the line jumped the quadrant, and then tonight, again, at like 3 in the morning, all of a sudden the high water alarm starts going off from the starboard engine room. We're like, what in the heck is going on? Open up the hatch, and there's just a ton of water, salt water, just there in the engine compartment, and I ended up emptying like 2 buckets worth of salt water out. What we realized what had happened, the reason the bilge didn't go off is it's very easy to accidentally push and turn off the automatic bilge switch at the nav table. So definitely a lesson learned there, but just what a crazy night.
And we just got hit. Yeah, sorry. How's the damage?
I don't see anything.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think it looks okay.
So what happened?
And their rudder was stuck, so we ended up having to untether ourselves.
Yeah.
And then Anne had to like position ourselves in like 15-20 knots of wind to continuously keep us in position. Fortunately, that did the trick.
If you think the crab pot is wrapped around the engine, we can't get it off with the boat hook.
I don't know. I need a light so I can at least see.
Okay.
Because it's still caught on us, but I don't know how to.
Are we dragging it?
Yeah, I mean.
Can we cut it?
I don't know how to cut it. I don't even know how to even get to that.
Okay. Do you need me to hold the boat hook, or is it better for you to do counter tension?
There.
Oh wow, that's good. I'm glad that knife was so sharp. Okay, so we're free. Just got onto our boat. I heard them when we were sleeping. The police are here and they actually caught them right across the street. I cannot believe this is going on. I'm like shaking with goosebumps, and I'm so glad that I heard them, and I'm so glad that they just got caught. I don't know what's gonna happen, and the great thing is we have it all caught on our camera. Okay, I gotta get off the phone because the cops are here.
It's quite the ride, wasn't it?
Yep.
So what happened? The dynamo loop that held the Selden furler on snapped.
Yep.
And so it sent the tack of the code 0 just flying all over, rocked the code 0 around the stays. The Selden motor clocked the GPS, or the Garmin.
The upper Garmin, but better than us. I
Yeah.
thought Dennis or I would get hit. And Garmin's replaceable, we're not. Crew did really good. We got all hands on deck. It's really rocky, if you hadn't guessed. I was holding my own, and I was able to hold in my vomit. I got everything secured, and now it's all coming up. Fortunately, my watch just ended, so I'm gonna go to bed now.
Dude, that thing is, yeah, it's
That's
at
like
least,
20 pounds.
yeah.
Did you see where it smashed the screen?
I can't believe that's the only thing that is smashed. Did it hit anything else?
Not that I'm aware of.
So it didn't crash the solar panels or any of, dude, that's pretty lucky.
I know. I took some video earlier, but if you want to pull it off, you can see how smashed it is.
Oh.
Yeah, look at that right there in the bottom corner.
Well, we've had a lot of crazy stuff happen. We've had a lot of incredible moments that really make this all worth it.
All right, let's take a look at those as well.
So we've crossed from the eastern to the western hemisphere, and now from the southern to the northern. We are now officially shellbacks.
Yeah. Woo!
offering to King Neptune for safe passage thus far and many more to come. Your turn.
All right, here's my offering to King Neptune for safe passage thus far. We did it.
We crossed
the
that
ocean.
ocean. We're in the Caribbean.
Woo! Hey, Martinique!
It's 7 a.m. and we're drinking.
Hey, as Jimmy Buffy says, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock in Cape Town. Turd.
I didn't pour it.
Pros.
Pros.
We did it. We got 43 days. Then we stopped in St. Helena for 2.5 days, Ascension 2.5 days, Fernando 2.5 days. If you noticed, we stopped with number 2. And the reason we don't have necessarily a video clip for number 1 is because... The reason we don't have a number 1 is it's too hard to capture that in video. And really what number 1 is about is it's all the people that we've met along the way. It's really, truly, I think, been the biggest takeaway from this past year, being part of the cruising community, seeing all the other people out there, reconnecting with people that you haven't met in over a year, and then ending up with 6 countries or 7 countries with them, and just building that country count with other people.
Yep.
For example, why did we go to Nova Scotia?
A viewer on this channel reached out to us, has the same last name as Dennis, and that's how we ended up there. And it was an incredible experience. And we even like the things where viewers reach out and they want to just have a chat with us. We'll spend an hour on a Zoom call.
Right. Or
we love sharing.
If we were in Newport, Rhode Island. You know, they have a dinghy, so they came aboard. We were at Yacht in Annapolis getting work done, and we had viewers come aboard. So, point being, that's been our number 1 most awesome part of this past year is meeting people and making connections.
One of the questions that we get asked a lot is how much does it cost? Well, obviously this lifestyle can cost you any amount. It's cost us a whole lot more than we budgeted for. But a lot of that we attribute, or we hope, was brand new boat. You move onto a boat in a foreign country and you're starting from total scratch. So you have a lot of spares, a lot of things to buy.
Right. We had all the window shades made in Cape Town. We had the helm the winch covers, the solar shade, the anchor shade. We had an extra battery put in. We felt that was a necessary or a good purchase.
Yeah.
That cost, so there was those type of expenses. Since then, we've really not had a whole lot of expenditures in boat repairs. This past August, we spent maybe about $7,000 on repairs that we had to outsource ourselves because either it was a little too complicated or kind of beyond our little capabilities. And then you have these other one-offs, like you just saw in the worst moments that happened to us when we lost steering. We decided to get an extra secondary autopilot, and then same with we had to replace a chart plotter.
Yeah, those were 2 real big ticket items.
There's always budget busters.
Yes. Yeah, it's a boat.
With those numbers, our biggest expense is our boat loan. That eats up about 35% of our budget.
Yeah.
And then
we chose to do a boat loan because we didn't want to wrap all our money.
Correct.
And that's what our financial planner recommended.
Correct. So we have that big expense, but at the same time, our monies are still put away and they're still making money. Then you throw in the other things. Insurance, I think, clocked in at around 8% because it works out to about 1.25%,
1.5% of our boat value.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, God forbid you want to sail somewhere like from the U.S. back to the Caribbean, they're going to tack on a $2,000, $3,000 rider. And what did they say? What did they tack on?
$5,000 rider to sail to the Med.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a lot of money, and that's
Yeah.
for a year. But
There's
still.
always those little gotchas.
Yeah.
But net total, I think the boat consumes about 60% of our budget.
Yeah, the boat loan, boat insurance, repairs, maintenance.
Right.
Um,
And then as you've seen in our videos, I think we're continuously doing little improvements, whether it's fitted sheets, you know,
Yep.
or bug screens, just those creature comforts that make our life better, and we want to share that with you to make hopefully your life
Yeah.
better as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the budget stuff that I went through the past year was a little bit challenging because easily a couple $1,000s on Amazon stuff, but you can't really categorize it sometimes because when we would have guests come visit, we would load up their suitcases with everything from, hey, I need a new pair of shoes, to, hey, I can't find this big old bag of cashew nuts anywhere. Oh, another thing, and then we'll talk about this a little bit more, is it was maybe 1% of our budget or 2%, but it was the fact that life without a car forces
Yeah.
you to do Uber, Lyft, rental cars, that kind of stuff. But with everything else, I think we're pretty much on target
Yeah.
where we were thinking.
Yeah.
We did pay more in docking, mooring fees, especially mooring fees in terms of grabbing a mooring ball, than we expected. We prefer to live on the hook. It's easier, but I think two things drove that. I think a lot of areas are putting in more mooring balls, so you're almost forced to get a mooring ball.
Yeah.
Or you're out in the sticks, and then it becomes an unmanageable dinghy right in. But two, I think it's just a bit of a safety thing sometimes. Like when we were in Port Washington, we were there, and I had to go back for some personal business to Pennsylvania. So we just thought it was safer to have us on a mooring ball. Of course, as you saw in the scariest moments, that doesn't always hold true because you can
Yeah.
still get hit,
Yeah.
you know, by people while you're on a mooring ball. So anyway.
Yeah. The next segment we'd like to share lessons we learned along the way. Warranty work. It takes up a lot of time, and a lot of that time, I don't know if this is common, but it seems you're always waiting for parts to arrive.
And also just trying to coordinate with the yard that's doing the warranty work. I think what we found probably the most frustrating is the amount of time that the boat was not being worked on.
Yeah. It's one thing if your boat has to sit there and it takes that long to do the work, but when the boat sits idle for months, it's quite frustrating because this is our home and we want to be on our home and exploring.
Right.
But
Another thing, and it's not necessarily a negative lesson, but it's kind of more on the downside of things. Well, you miss out on family, you know, because
friends.
you're here. We're here on a boat that's not quite halfway around the world, but it takes a lot of coordination to get back home or to try and coordinate friends and or family to come here. So yeah, so that's sometimes a little bit of a negative downside to this lifestyle. We touched it earlier.
Yeah, the Airbnb, especially because we were displaced off our boat for quite a while, does really add up. Or wearing out your welcome at your in-laws' house. You know, I think we made that mistake. We won't make it again. It's a juggling act. It's definitely a tricky way to live. One of the biggest differences with a boat versus a house, they always have a long list of things to do, but with a boat, quite often those things are critical and sometimes they even have to be addressed at that moment, whether it's 3 a.m. or whenever. And getting parts is a lot more tricky, especially here in the Caribbean. A lot of islands are very limited with supplies.
Yeah, in a pinch, duct tape, zip ties, and extra line laying around.
Yeah.
You can solve a lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
now, fortunately, we are very flexible eaters, so that's a good thing. But on the flip side is you get what you get here in the islands. Some islands are better than others, but as we experienced coming over on the passage, we didn't have a knockdown, drag down fight, but you got like the last two of something one time, and then the cashier even ran over and she's like, well, I'm getting the other two of the last ones.
Oh,
You know,
Produce,
right?
especially certain items. They're so hard to get.
Yeah. So those are some of the things on the downside, I guess you will. But on the upside, there's a ton of other things. I think the cruising community is small, as we already touched on that with regards to seeing people you haven't seen in a year and all of a sudden they're anchored right behind you. But tied in with that is just the whole cruising community as a whole. You have this little network, you're kind of all in the same boat, but the willingness of people to help out. I know a lot of places have cruiser nets. Fortunately, it hasn't happened to us yet, but twice now, and over the course of 2 days, we've seen somebody whose dinghy outboard crapped out and they needed a tow.
That's right.
You know, so just helping out. That's a simple little way to give back.
Yeah. I think when things do arise, you do really have to be creative with your solutions and work with what you have. That's something that I think we've learned very well. And I think we've also built up our confidence. You know, we went from a small 30-foot monohull to this large catamaran, and there was so much learning.
I think we're grateful and thankful all the time that we're able to do this. And I think some of the message that we have with our videos is we want our viewers to be able to do it too, if they aren't already, and then just continue sharing that forward.
Mm-hmm. Finally, we'd like to share what we're really trying to focus on this second year of our cruising lifestyle, and it was a big adjustment for us to learn to be together on the boat almost 100% of the time. And we're working on our personal growth and our communication skills, and I think we've made tremendous progress so far.
Go team.
But we got a lot of progress, a lot of things to work on.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's been fantastic, and I don't know that land life would have pushed us to get that much more sophisticated with our communication.
If you don't have marriage savers, the headsets, get them, because you can't yell anything nicely.
Yeah.
That's definitely something we've learned. Other things we want to focus on for this second season is just keep learning the boat. I tend to be a little bit more of a set it, forget it, kind of with the sails. But, you know, just learning the sails and learning to tweak the sails, digging into these different systems as issues arise, like Watermaker.
Another thing we've started to do is take more time in locations, because I think some of the stress was the fact we were always changing locations so frequently. We didn't really get a chance to decompress, and then we were heading off to the next location. And for me, staying put is especially helpful because I don't get seasick when we are at anchor. It's when we get out at sailing upwind.
Well, and with that, you know, our upcoming sail plan is we're going to get back up to St. Martin and then head to the Mediterranean, where we're going to stay as long as we possibly can, which I think is going to put us in around 18 months. Another piece with the second year focus is, as we said, our number one best thing that we feel happened to us this past year was meeting these new people and making friends, but now prioritizing those connections.
Another thing that we find is easy to skip is working out. Now, being on the boat, you're always very active in terms of moving, but I'm realizing my cardio when I go hiking is just, you know, terrible. So we're going to focus on more swimming, building up our cardio.
Yeah.
We got this big wide ocean. There's no reason we can't do more swimming.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do very well with healthy eating. The other piece to it too is, as many of you know, the cruising lifestyle is very lushy.
Yeah.
And so we just want to try and cut back on that as well.
And we've done an amazing job cutting back. Feel much better, sleep much better, and our booze bill's gone way down.
Now, that doesn't mean you can't buy me a beer, so I'm just or us a beer. So just saying.
Yeah.
But that's what we wanted to kind of push out in this video for this week, is just to share some of our past year's experiences in terms of good, bad, ugly, expensive, and just how we are viewing things moving forward.
And really, you all make it possible. So thank you for all your comments. We have a couple people I think we should do a shout out to.
Sure.
Paul, for sure.
Paul, definitely thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yep, hashtag Shotzi needs soup bones.
Yeah. He comments on every single video, and comments, if you don't know, really boost our videos. And we like engaging with the audience, and because we learn from you all. We really do.
Yeah, the amount of ideas and advice that we've gotten through some of the comments has been immeasurable.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll see you next week.
Ha!